that you know that the session is being recorded. And also, if you are an attendee and you get asked to be promoted to panelist, please accept that, and that would be wonderful. So with that, we will get our session underway. So kia ora and welcome to our virtual retreat. I would love you to please pop in the chat box, let us know where you're calling in from. Now, I see many familiar faces, but for those of you who don't know me, I'm Sarah Devereaux, Director of Training for Coach Masters for Oceania Pacific. And together with our Director of Training for New Zealand, Joe Lanigan, we are excited to spend this time with you exploring the topic of what it means for us to take off our masks and actually begin to connect with our authentic selves. So you'll notice that I have a mask, and I am loving seeing some others wearing some masks. Please put on your turn on your camera if you are open to, and you'll notice that you will have in your Zoom functionalities, there are some virtual masks you can choose from. I see Tycho is already doing that, same with Ivy and a few others, which is great. Joe's got a real one. So if you want to put on a mask, have a bit of fun for our session today, you are more than welcome to. Cool. So before we officially begin our session, I want to share a quote with you from Eckhart Tolle. And the quote is that you cannot find yourself by going into the past. You can only find yourself by coming into the present. So in our session today, we invite you to come into the present, to be with us in the here and now, to bring with you into the session all of your magnificence and your weirdness. And, let's just be here as all of who we are. Now, as you come into the present, I'm wondering, how it is that you're landing in our session today. How are you arriving here? So if you want to maybe pop, a word or a few words in the chat, let us know, how are you arriving today, fully present as you come into this room? Let's see what we've got. Okay. All right. Now, I'm seeing a couple of others don't see themselves. Joe, if you could just make sure everyone's been asked to be upgraded to a panelist. Cool, so let's see, I'm feeling rather inspired and upbeat from Luke, a bit distracted because you can't find your camera. Oh, I hope you can find that soon, Tony. We've got excited, optimistic. What else do we have here? In a bit of a hurry. Centered and peaceful, excited about the new learning. Nice. So, feel free to just really center yourself into what is present within you today as you come into this Zoom room. And, as you look in the chat box, you'll be able to see what other kind of energies we have in this room together. So it's lovely to see a few more things coming through, but open and ready, curious, excited about the new learning. Awesome. Cool. All right. So what we are going to do today is, we're going to explore, first of all, and let me just share my screen. Sorry, just a minute. So we're going to explore, why do we wear a mask? Who are we without our masks? And then we're going to be taking off our mask, and we're going to have a little bit of story time. So here Joe, let me stop my share. Here, Joe and I are going to be sharing with you something that you may not know that you may find somewhat interesting. So with that, I'm going to hand our time over to Joe to kick us off into our session. And we're really wanting to, as I said, kind of be here present, but also to have this as a very conversational, interactive space. Okay, so the more talking, the more insights, the more we can kind of harness the collective wisdom amongst us all, the better. So with that, I will hand the time over to you, Joe.
Hi, everyone. It's so lovely to see you all here. And Sarah, if we could maybe look at the first slide. And it is, why do we wear a mask? And what are we protecting? So for now, I'm going to, I'm going to keep my mask on, and I'd love to just go back into the room and have a discussion of why do we wear a mask and what are we protecting? And I would love to talk. Please talk to me. Who wants to talk? Why do we, oh, thank you, David. Thank you. David, you're on mute.
Right. Sorry. I think we wear a mask simply to protect ourselves, protect our more vulnerable selves, and to deal with the world in a kind of a day-by-day fashion without getting too caught up or too emotionally upset by things. So it's kind of, well, at least for me anyway, it's some kind of, this is how I get through the day in one piece and go to sleep happy.
Okay.
We only want to open up to around with people around that we can trust, and in situations where we feel it's okay to be vulnerable and to have a thinner skin.
So David, to put it very succinctly, it sounds like it's to protect ourselves so that we can be happy. Yeah. Kendall, thank you. What would you like to share?
Just to get accepted by others, so that we can be loved and we can be safe and we can be secure.
Wonderful. So to be accepted by others. Great. Thank you. And Fiona?
I think often we try and hide because of either negative emotions or negative beliefs about ourselves.
So it sounds like we have these negative beliefs about ourselves and we don't want other people to see them, so we hide. Thank you, Fiona. And we'll have one more, Mark. Thank you.
I think I often wear a mask just to sort of add some certainty to the day. So I'm not wondering, oh, how am I going to deal with opinions people are probably going to form if they see parts of me? I don't know how I'm going to deal with them. I don't know what they're going to be. Put a mask up. I know it's all dealt with. I won't have to deal with it at all.
Thank you for being so very honest, Mark. That's really beautiful. Thank you. So I'm going to be honest right now. And I'm going to take off my mask and share with you some things about myself, okay? A very long time ago, when I lived in America, I was an actress, okay? And I really played the part of being an actress. I wanted that validation that if I kind of played the part and talked a certain way and acted a certain way, that I would have that external validation and that people would think of me as a real actress. So actresses and actors in New York, we smoked a lot of cigarettes. And I need to tell you that I smoked, and I'm embarrassed to say it, and I could never afford to do it now, but I smoked 2 packs a day. Okay, I did. And we drank a lot of coffee because during rehearsals, we were always drinking coffee and smoking cigarettes. And I wanted to show that, like, I'm definitely an actress because I can drink a lot of coffee. And one day I actually drank, I'm so embarrassed to say it, 11 cups of coffee. I see people going, really? Now look, guys, this was a long, long time ago. And I wanted to share that with you because those things that I did, I thought that that's what was going to give me the validation of being an actress. So I want to talk to you about, there is a 20th century very influential psychoanalyst and child psychiatrist, and his name is Donald Winnicott. He talks about the false self is an artificial persona that we create very early in our lives to protect ourselves. And often we had to be unnaturally attuned to the demands of our parents, sensing that we had to comply in order to be loved and tolerated. So from a very early age, we've had to learn to be false before we had the chance to be real. So this way of being really continues throughout our schooling years, throughout our careers. And most of the time, we're putting on a mask. We're complying with our teachers, with our bosses, with our colleagues, with our own partners and our friends. And this has a lot to do with our egos. Your ego, it's like a cup. It's a cup full of opinions and speculations that you've been filling up. You've been filling up this cup over the years. And you've been filling it with things about who you think you are. And most often, they are the things that are your false self. So technically, the ego is like a survival mechanism to protect ourselves, which some of you brought up earlier. And what we do is we look for external validation. So there's 2 types of egos. There's the weak ego. And here, when we have a very weak ego, we have a very low self-worth. We're always beating ourselves up with self-destructive thoughts. And then on the other end of the spectrum, we have the big ego. And that's, we think very highly of ourselves, and it's accompanied by a lot of self-confidence, a lot of pride, a lot of self-worth, maybe a lot of cigarettes and a lot of coffee. So for both these scenarios, the weak and the big ego, those egos are based on very shaky foundations. And those egos are constantly looking for ways to reassure itself and to cover up insecurities. So is there an alternative? Yeah. The true self is dropping the mask. And when you drop your mask, it may create some discomfort before giving you a new sense of freedom. It will do that. But when you gain that new sense of freedom, you'll connect back to your inner voice, which knows and has always known what's best for you and the people around you. So what I'd like to do is put in the chat, how do you know that you're being your authentic self?
Joe, can I just let you know we've got the Mentimeter in there in the chat box. So if you
We are doing the Mentimeter. Great. Okay. So if everybody could go to the Mentimeter, and Sarah has put that in the chat, and just put a few short, a very short sentence or a couple of words. How do you know when you're being your authentic self? Okay, so everybody can see the Mentimeter? Yeah? And Sarah, are we able, when you're ready, to show it to everybody? How's that? Great. And Sarah, if I'll have to put on my glasses if I can find them, because hold on a minute so I can see this. Okay, so when you're being your authentic self, I feel light. In the flow, I'm happier, comfortable with showing feelings and not restricted by the idea of conforming to the norm. There's a deep peace inside, a feeling of peace of mind. To be honest, how do I know what is my authentic self when I have been guided throughout my life to what I am? Okay. Let's read that again. How do I know what is my authentic self when I have been guided throughout my life to be what I am? That's going to be a good discussion point. How about we come back into the room and maybe have a chat about that? Who could you raise your hand who brought that up?
Yeah, that was me.
Who was it? Sorry.
It was me. Hello.
Hi, Luke.
Hey, how's it?
So tell us, what do you mean by that?
Well, I love these subjects, right? It's something I think about often. And when you look at who we are, it's a combination of everything we've experienced throughout our lives. And so for me to say, how do I know what my authentic self is without understanding when I've adjusted or taken on behaviors or done certain things or achieved certain outcomes based on the influence of society, your parents, your partners, your schooling? I mean, how do I really know?
Yeah. Does anybody want to share anything? Yes. Hi, Aria.
Hey. To me, I can feel that difference of when I am myself and I feel at ease and I feel comfortable. It's often situations or around certain people. And then sometimes when you feel a little bit intimidated in certain situations or not quite, you just not quite feel yourself. So I can often measure that depending on the situation or the people that I am around.
Great. And Aria, that's going to be great, because that's going to be our next question after we discuss this for a little bit about what's it like when you take off your mask. Yeah. Mm-hmm. David, thank you. did you want to say something?
Yes, I'm just going to echo what Aria relayed, that the feeling you get from the people around you gives you a sense of being welcomed as your authentic self to a greater or lesser degree. And I'll add to that, one of the nice things about being older is that you actually care less about whether people see you through a mask or not. So, well, here I am. I'm going to do what makes me feel like I'm being useful or being fulfilled or whatever. Here it is.
Yeah. So you've found as you've gotten older, you don't really care as much
No.
about what other people think. So am I hearing then that you're able to be more of your authentic self?
Yes, if I feel like I'm honoring my values,
Yeah, nice.
then I can, it helps keep me kind of centered.
Lovely. Thank you, David. And Lindley.
Thanks, Jo. And thank you, Luke, for a fantastic question. In my journey to authentic self, it took me to a place of understanding what my true essence was and living from essence. And so that sounds a bit kind of mystical, but it's finding out, for me, it's been finding out what really makes me come alive, and then accepting who that person is. Finding out what really is at the core of my being and what's important to me, and embracing that without any shoulds or have to. So it's definitely a journey. Don't think I'm all the way there yet, but the core of who you are starts to come forward, and it's a journey inwards to find that core. Thanks, Jo.
Thanks, Lindley. And I'm, just from what David said and what you're saying, really coming from that core, and then adding on to what David said about values. And when you're in alignment with your values, that's really being in touch with your core and your authentic self. Yes, Ivy?
Thanks, Jo. To add to what has already been beautifully said, for me, I relate to it just by checking in what is my intention? What is my intention with reacting a certain way? And normally that's informed by my feelings. And that's when you feel, am I doing this because I want to please others so that they're happier with how I do it? Or is it so that I could get in touch with my definition of being happy and content with myself, being comfortable with my own decisions and feelings? And that's quite liberating. And it's an ongoing journey because, as human beings, we develop and learn about ourselves a lot. And as we grow, we start to release all those shackles that have held us quite back from owning, I want to love myself. Why do I have to feel guilty about that if I'm putting myself first? So I guess that's in touch with the intention bit. Thank you.
Thank you, Ivy. And something that stood out to me that you said is that, am I seeking external validation from others, or is it internal validation? Yeah, thank you. And Tony, and then Murray, and then we'll move on. Yeah.
For me, Jo, it's I was thinking about responding to a situation that could put yourself on the line. It could be COVID, vaccination, or whatever. So it's speaking my truth in a non-emotional, non-triggered way, and non-protectively, and also giving others space to do the same.
Beautiful, Tony. So really giving yourself space and others space to come from your truth. And we've got time for one more, Murray.
Yeah, I'm just agreeing with Dave and what else has been said. I've found that as I've aged, the desire to take on other people's opinions has mattered less to me. So I've also found that wearing a mask creates a whole lot of extra thinking you need to do to remember who you are, depending on who you're with. And I just can't be bothered with that. So just being yourself is so much easier. And also, as a follower of Christ, I find my external validation comes from who my Father in heaven says I am. So his opinion doesn't change. He tells me I'm loved, I'm valuable, I'm worthy. And what people say about me is actually none of my business. That's where my peace is rooted.
Thank you, Murray. Thank you so much for that. Beautifully shared. So we'll just briefly, so that we have enough time, what is it like when you take off your mask? What do you experience? Anybody want to share? Liberation, comfort, liberation. It can be scary, but so worth it. Thank you, Michelle. Hello, Michelle. Freedom. Now, did I see Tony still? Do you still have your hand raised? Would you like to say something? No. Okay. And I think before Darren, I know you wanted to say something. Do you want to add something, anything here?
Oh, thanks, Joe. I guess I was just going back to Luke's question, and for me, it's at present a relatively fleeting thing. But I guess I know when I've got my mask off, when I'm feeling in the flow, and I'm not kind of analyzing and thinking about it or whatever. I might notice that I'm being really present, and I've got this energy going on. So it's kind of a non-answer in a way, but it's it's just something I notice in the moment.
Thank you. And and which is really being in the now, isn't it? And noticing it in the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've had people say about what it feels like. It's depend why you put it on in the first instance. That's great, Debbie. And how does it feel when we've taken off the mask? It depends on why it's put on in the beginning. Darren says, I've been pondering about our own values and sitting in, connecting with them. Whose are these values? Where do they come from? Beautiful, just such profound, wonderful questions. And then we have inner peace. So, Sarah, shall I hand it back to you now?
Yeah, thank you, Joe. So what a lovely discussion. I feel like there's just so much wisdom that's starting to come through from just from each of you, both in the chat box, but also verbally. And what I want to do now, if you're open to it, is a short meditation. Now, the reason I'm wanting us to do this meditation is because I'm wanting us to kind of feel into where are we navigating our life from? Are we navigating from our head, our heart, our gut? And how do we know? What does it kind of feel like when we're navigating from these different places? So I'm going to keep it, keep it short. But I'd love if everyone, if you are open to engaging in this, if you could just maybe close down your eyes and I will turn on a little bit of some nice background music.
At 11:32 a.m.
So if I could get everyone else just to house, that would be great. And I will play some nice background music for our meditation. Okay, so if you let me know if you can hear this. Yep. Okay. So I'd just like to invite you to close down your eyes if you haven't already. And really feel your feet on the ground and your hands resting gently in your lap. And when you're ready, I want you to take a couple of breaths, really deep, anchoring, centering breaths right down into your belly. So we're going to first connect with what does it feel like to navigate life from your gut? What does it feel like down there in the depths of your belly and your puku? What does life feel like when you are navigating from this place? How does it feel? How do you feel? What does your gut have to tell you? Is there anything it's wanting to share with you? Any wisdom? What is your relationship like with your gut? It's really our bliss, isn't it? This is the essence. What's your relationship like with that part of you? And when you're ready, I'd like you to now come up. And we're going to start to connect to our hearts. Now, when you're connected to your heart, I want you to really get a feel for it. All its magnificence, all of the energy that it provides us with, that life force. Now I want you to practice just opening your heart to the world and feel what that feels like when you actually open your heart. Sometimes it's the right time to open our hearts, but sometimes we need to close our hearts to the world, but not to ourselves. So what does it feel like when you kind of come within and open your heart to yourself? Now kind of go between the two, opening your heart to the world and coming within and opening your heart to yourself. We never close. We don't close. What does it feel like when you navigate life from this place, from this open-hearted space? Is your heart wanting to tell you anything? And lastly, after you've heard all the wisdom that your heart has to share, I want you to come up into your head space. What does it feel like in there? easy? Is it heavy? Is it foggy? Is it clear? What does your head feel like right now? We don't often feel into our heads. And what is your relationship like with this part of you? What does it feel like when you navigate life from this place? How does it serve you? Maybe not serve you. Is your head wanting to tell you anything? And it wants to share any wisdom. And now, when you're ready, I want you to start to feel where is the best place for you to navigate life from? What does that alignment feel like? Maybe your ratio has changed, or you'd like it to change. And where you're navigating life from. So feel into this alignment. Feel into this space. And when you're ready, and you've gained all the wisdom from the centers of yourself, I want you to slowly move your fingers and your toes, coming back into this room. And when you're ready, you can begin to slowly open your eyes. Now, welcome back, everyone, into this space. I'd love to get a couple of shares from you. What was this experience like for you? What did you notice about yourself? Was there a dominant part of you that may be stronger in its navigation? Maybe were there parts of yourselves that maybe you couldn't feel? You wanted to feel more into? Yeah, what was it like when you kind of opened your heart and then kind of brought it in and kept it open to yourself without ever closing? Yeah. So Ivy, I see you've got your hand up, and there's also some beautiful things coming through into the chat. So Ivy.
Thanks, Sarah. Thank you so much for that. That was a beautiful experience. It actually took me to a place where it felt like my gut when it started there, as if I was the core of the earth. It felt like that, all the rumbling, all the turmoil, all the shaking. Then when I went to my heart, it felt like I was amongst the forest, touching all the plants and feeling the wonderful fresh air. And as I went to my headspace, I went into the stratosphere and I could see everything all around me. I felt like a superhero. But towards the end, I navigated back down to Earth. And I think that's when all the connections between the three felt like I was at home, because I know I could travel whichever dimension, but at the same time, it felt grounded, and that's where I wanted to be. So thank you for that.
What a beautiful journey, Ivy. It sounds like, yeah, you really kind of came back home to yourself in that. Yeah, thank you. And David.
Okay, just check my. Yes, that was a great meditation. Thank you, Sarah. On the invitation to go back down and find where to navigate from, I found that there was a space that started from my hips and went up my spine. So it was kind of a very kind of backbone aligned space from my hips up to my shoulders. That kind of gave me a sense of feeling rooted to the earth. I can move around from this position comfortably. Thank you.
Thank you, David. It sounds like a very solid place for you to navigate from. And I just want to encourage you all to kind of come back to that place in yourself when you need to, that really grounded place where you can really tap into your authenticity and navigate from a place that is going to be most meaningful in your life. So I'm now going to hand it to Joe, where we're going to share with you a little something. So let me just bring the slides up for you, Joe, just to see.
We're going to share our story now. So it's time for Sarah and I to literally take off our masks. And I'd like you to look at the next photo. And who do you recognize the woman and the girl in this picture? We'll move to the next slide because that woman and girl in the picture are Sarah and myself. We are mother and daughter. So.
I totally wondered that.
Did you? Who said that? Who said that?
I've been wondering that, honestly.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Wow. No idea. No idea. I had no idea.
So, for many years, Sarah and I never shared this because we felt we needed to be professional and we didn't want people thinking, or putting things together as we were presenting. But we decided in our last face-to-face cohort that we would tell those people. And we haven't had another face-to-face cohort since. So we thought it was a really great time for us to share our story. So we will begin. I had been after I gave up acting, gave up smoking, gave up drinking coffee, although I'm back to drinking coffee. I got into real estate, and I was in real estate both in New York City, and then when my husband and I moved to New Zealand, he is a Kiwi, I remained in real estate on the North Shore selling lifestyle properties in Coatesville and Dairy Flat. And every month we would have a monthly meeting with all of the Bailey's offices. And this one particular meeting, there was this beautiful 35-year-old woman who was a coach. And she was explaining to us about coaching and what coaching was. And she was probably there for some business because she probably knew that real estate agents have no balance in their life and we probably all needed coaching. But as I was sitting there watching her, I thought of Sarah. And I thought, oh my God, I could so see Sarah as a coach. So Sarah, I will hand it to you.
So at this point, I was very much into my personal development journey. My now husband and I had actually fallen pregnant on my gap year between high school and university when I was working at the bank. And
much to my dismay, by the way.
We're still together all these years later with not one, but 3 daughters. Anyway, besides the point. So we, you know, I was working at the bank and, you know, we fell pregnant with our daughter, and I'd started at university, and I'd really, you know, kind of loved this whole idea of entrepreneurship. And I, you know, to me, I didn't really want to work for somebody else after experiencing a call center and what that looks like in corporate. And so anyway, Jo came home at that time, or Mum, I should say now, and shared about this person who'd come into her real estate office and explained about what coaching is, and thought, hey, you should check it out. I had no idea there was anything even, you know, called coaching back then. This would have been about 12 years ago. And so I got into coaching. I trained with an academy, a local one in Auckland. And I then started working with youth, helping them to transition between adolescence into adulthood. And with that, you know, things were starting to move. They were going really well. And the owner of the school that I trained with asked if I wanted to open up a branch down in Tauranga. So at the time we were living in Auckland, for those of you in New Zealand, you'll know where that is. So I thought, okay, yep, great, let's do it. So I moved down to Tauranga, put all of our savings into hiring an office down there. My husband and I renovated it. And I would think I was about 23 at the time, this 23-year-old was down in Tauranga training all of these life coaches. It sounds absolutely ridiculous now that I say it, but it ended up actually being really successful.
And these were all like, you know, middle-aged women that Sarah was teaching.
Yeah. And then Jo decided to do the training.
No. Let me tell
Okay.
So I went to Pilates one day. I was very into Pilates. And after I finished Pilates, I thought, you know, because in real estate, I'd been quote unquote coaching and mentoring a lot of my colleagues. Okay, quote unquote. And I decided that I was going to go and do the same training that Sarah did. So I went and did that and decided that it was something that I really did love. And I won't go into all this stuff, but in order for me to get out of real estate, I actually had to move. Otherwise, listings just would have kept coming in. And my husband and I went down to visit Sarah and Bella and Dan, and Sarah did a values exercise on us, and we decided we were going to move down to Tauranga, and I was going to start teaching with Sarah. Okay. So Sarah, now you tell what happened after that.
So then someone called Dr. Ben Coe came along, and I received, this was probably about 3 years into running the coach training in Tauranga. I got approached by Ben looking for somebody to bring Coach Masters into New Zealand. And this was in 2015. I received this email. And so we got on Skype together. We had a bit of a talk about it. And the approach sounded a lot different to the kind of the life coaching tools, etc., that we were teaching at the time.
Very tactical coaching.
It was.
Right?
It was, yes. And so anyway, I said to Jo, look, I really want to go and check out this training. Ben had invited me to come overseas, and this particular training was in Vietnam. Oh, and hello, that's just to be authentic. This is our middle daughter, Aya, who's just been swimming with her big sister and is now coming to join our session. So Jo, I will let you continue on.
Okay, So Sarah thought that she was seriously going to look at bringing Coach Masters Academy to New Zealand. And we sat down at our table and I said, Sarah, I said, you and Dan have just bought a house. You have a big mortgage. You have a child. I said, everything is going really well here. Everything is very secure. You know, you've got the money coming in for the mortgage. Don't go trying anything else. Let's stay where we are. And Sarah said, well, actually, no, I'm going to go. I'm going to Vietnam. Will you come with me? I said, no, I'm not going. Sorry, not going. I didn't think she'd go. Anyway, 2 days before Sarah was supposed to leave, I'm still waiting for her not to go. And we were having lunch together at a cafe. And she said, why don't you come with me? Let's just check it out. Now, I had a doctor's appointment to go to after our lunch. And I said to her, look, why don't you and Dad get online, see if I could even get on a flight with you. And if I can, when I get home from my doctor's appointment, we'll discuss it. And I got home from my doctor's appointment and they booked the flight. So we got to the airport, not knowing that we needed visas to get into Vietnam. And they said, we're really sorry, but you can't go. And then my dear daughter put on those feminine tears. And the guy behind the counter was so upset seeing her cry that they had us go up into their offices of China Southern Airways. And Sarah was able to try and get us visas. And we get on the plane. And before we get on, they say, if the visas don't come through by the time you get to Beijing, which is the stopover, you've got to turn around and come home. And we went, okay. Anyway, we got to Vietnam. It was the 44th cohort and of Coach Masters Academy. And after the first day, we were so excited. We said, yes, we can do this. Let's bring this back to New Zealand. Second day, as you all know who have done the training, it got more complicated. And we went, no, this isn't for us. We really felt like our heads were about to explode. Anybody know that feeling? Okay. Third day, we were kind of, yes, no. And the fourth day, it was a definite no. We thought, no, we cannot do this. This is just too big for us. We don't know enough. We can't do it. And then, Sarah, do you want to talk about what happened with Ben? Or
So then Ben somehow kind of NLP'd us and we ended up doing the training. But no, we ended up having a talk with Ben after the 4-day face-to-face part of the training. And anyway, we decided we would consider bringing it back. And so Joe and I then went into the airport in China. There was a long layover that we had, and we actually tried it out. We tried out the ACC conversation, and we were blown away with the impact that it had. And so we decided, all right, let's just do it. Because at this point, Tauranga was feeling rather small. You know, it was kind of like we wanted to expand our wings and kind of, bring it to all of Aotearoa. And so we did. And since then, we have trained over 1,000 coaches. We've got 9 faculty in Oceania Pacific that are a part of our team. And it has been an incredible almost 7 years since then. So we've just got one more slide that we would like to show you. Sorry. So this is the last slide, kind of shows a bit about our journey. So these were some of our face-to-face cohorts. This is Ben giving the official inauguration to us, back in, I think, 2015 or 16.
Sarah, can you make the slide a bit bigger?
Oh, yes, sorry. Doesn't look like, sorry, it doesn't look like it's going.
Okay.
That's okay. That's okay. Did you get to see the photo with everyone or not? You did? Okay, cool. I'm not quite Evan for those, or Lisa for those of you who have been in the online intakes. I'm finding it a bit hard to do the tech and the presenting. But it's been such an incredible experience. We've both grown so much, and we really thought like it was time for us to take off our mask and to share with all of you authentically, that we are mother and daughter and we love working together. So thank you for kind of holding space for us as we take our mask off. And now we would love, just as we kind of close our session, we'd love for you all to think about what are some words, maybe 3 words that you feel express the essence of your authentic self. And once you've got those 3 words, we would love for you to come verbally on and just share with us, like, who are you authentically? If I think about myself, I genuinely believe that I'm loving and kind and grounded. So they would be my 3. Who else would like to share 3 words that really are the essence of you? You can put them in the chat or come on and we can hear your voices.
We'd love to hear your voices too.
I'll share. I feel a bit emotional because, but anyway, thank you, Sarah and Joe. That was really lovely and awesome, and I feel quite inspired on my journey currently. But my 3 words would be: I'm passionate for life, quite spirited, passionate, loving, and sensitive. Yeah.
Thank you, Kendall, and thanks for being here with us so authentically in this space, and I'm glad it's been a touching session for you. Yeah. Who else would like to share? Who are you, your authentic self? I'm seeing a few more things coming through in the chat, which is great. Courageous, visionary, and passionate from Fiona. Curious, genuine, and open, and that is Michelle. Awesome. Also, we've got Irene, encouraging, inspiring, and relentless. And yeah, what else? Who else? What, Murray, you've got your hand up.
So I would say mine would be servant-hearted, solid, and also a risk taker, which is probably a bit of a contradiction, but that's who I feel I am. So I'm comfortable with that.
Love it. Very cool. Thank you, Murray. It's so great to see you here. Thanks for engaging. And David, what about you? Who are you authentically? Who's your authentic self?
Thank you for the opportunity. Yes, I would say my 3 words are caring, purposeful, and inquiring.
Lovely. Great words for a coach. They're very aligned.
Yeah, I could I could have invented those a month ago when I started.
Yeah. And what about you, Jen?
Well, I'd like to say thank you for sharing your story. That was amazing. And my 3 words are adventurous, caring, and genuine.
Lovely. Adventurous, caring, and genuine. Beautiful. And thank you for being here too. And yeah, holding space as we shared our story. And what about you, Mick? And your little one right there, who's absolutely adorable.
I'll try my best, but Thomas may also answer as well. We'll see. So, caring, attentive, and inspirational.
Lovely. Yeah, that sounds very you, Mick, from what I know of you. Yeah, thanks. So what about you, Matt? What are your words?
My words are helpful, curious, and warm.
Lovely. Again, some very good words that align with the coaching profession. Hey, thank you. Does anybody else want to share? Joe, what about?
Yeah, I can go, Sarah. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, go for it, Darren. Yeah, please.
Yeah. Thanks, Sarah. Thanks, Joe, as well. Words that kind of is that sense of knowing is kind of loving, compassionate, and peaceful for me. Thank you.
Beautiful. Some very very grounded words. Thank you for sharing that. Oh, and what about you, Joe? What are your 3 words?
Ooh. Honesty, deep loving, and integrity.
Those of you who know Jo, I'm sure we can say she's one of the most authentic people around. So lucky for me being daughter, I have a great role model. I'll be glad to share that role model with you all.
You already do.
Yeah. Cool. So some great.
Can I just say, as we kind of finish, I feel a little emotional. I just want to say how much I love and respect Sarah from the deepest depths of my being, and to think that a mother could have such deep respect for her daughter. I never imagined that I would ever allow myself to feel that and to be in that place, because I have in the past been a bit of a control freak. But I truly have the greatest respect and love for you, Sarah, and thank you for all of who you are and everything that you have done for me and for this community.
Joanna, a very emotional session. Yeah. Well, with that, before I cry, I think it's time for us to just bring our session to a close. And yeah, it's been really lovely just to kind of be in this space with you all as we all kind of connect into our authentic selves. You know, something I heard a while ago is we have so many meetings, but we barely ever meet. And with that, it's like, do our essential selves ever really meet in all these meetings that we have with one another? So I encourage you to kind of connect into your most genuine place of navigation. So your head, your heart, your gut, combination. Staying open, you know, keeping your heart open. And if it's too tough to keep it open to the world, If you need to bring it in for a little bit, keep it open to yourself, never close. And lastly, just also connecting into those 3 words that we've just looked at now, the essence of who you are. Really, embodying those and bringing those into your interactions so that when you meet people, you genuinely meet them. So with that, thank you all so much for being here with us today. And we wish you a great weekend, and we'll see you all next time.
And a wonderful holiday season and an even more wonderful 2022. Thank you. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, Sarah. Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you, Joe and Sarah.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
A great story. Thank you.